Why do women in their 20s obsess over older men?
It goes deeper than you think. It is not because they're broken, gold diggers, or being manipulative. It is because older men activate something that younger men haven't developed yet.
I think that's probably where like they want someone to like provide for them and stuff like that. And I think a lot of women like older men at one point, especially in New York, but then kind of realize there's a lot of weird like dynamics with that. Like there really is like a really masculine.
A younger woman dates an older man because she was introduced to maturity at such a young age. She might be 21, 22, 23, maybe 24, but she was going through mature type of energy, maybe in her teenage years. So if she starts to elevate from the maturity that she was introduced to, I would think that she would probably start seeing her energy line up more towards an older man.
Not only is it that's how they're biologically made, I think it's more that most younger women just find older men supposedly more mature, right?
There's a certain kind of attention that started happening to you and you have no idea when it began. You walk into a room the same way you always have. You order your coffee the same way. You hold the door the same way. But something about how people respond to you has changed. And you're the last person to notice it. Bumble released data showing that 59% of women now rank emotional steadiness as the single most important quality in a partner. Not income, not appearance, not even age, steadiness. And the men who carry that quality the most naturally are the ones who stopped trying to prove anything a long time ago. That's what we're getting into today. Imagine this. You're standing somewhere ordinary, a store, a lobby, or a line at a register, and someone younger catches your eye for a quick second longer than expected. Not dramatically, not obviously, just long enough that something registered. And before you even process it, you explain it away. She was just being friendly. She was looking past you. It didn't mean anything. But here's what's actually happening beneath that moment. An Ipsos survey published in 2024 found that roughly half of US adults have been in a relationship with someone either 10 years older or younger. That's not a fringe experience. That is a pattern running through millions of lives. And Pew Research confirmed that across 130 countries and territories, women are consistently the younger partner in relationships. Not by accident, by preference. But this is not a video about age gaps. That framing misses the whole point entirely. This is about what certain years of living built inside a person without them realizing it. Because the thing younger women are noticing is not your age. It is not your career. It is not your bank account. It is the way you feel to be around. And that feeling has a name. It is called emotional regulation, the ability to be present without performing, the ability to hold space without filling it with noise. And in a world that feels louder and faster every single year, that quality has become genuinely rare.
What is it that makes us so attractive to these young women? It's simple. We have traits that they find irresistible. For one, we are more mature. We have more experiences, which has given us a level of wisdom and insight that younger men simply don't have. This level of maturity is exactly what many younger women are looking for in a partner. They want someone who is ready to commit to a serious relationship, someone who is past the stage of just wanting to smash and be a player. Another trait that makes us irresistible to younger women is our experience. Not just pounding them guts, not just in the bed, but in relationships as well. We have seen more. We have dated more people, and we have been in more relationships. We know what women want. We understand that sex is not just for men, but for women too. We treat women with more understanding, respect, and patience than younger men. We look at the big picture, and we have more patience to get to the root of the problem and resolve any issues. Some women prefer older men because of their daddy issues. These women have had difficult relationships with their fathers, and they're looking for someone who can offer them the mentorship and advice that they probably missed out during their childhood. But don't get it twisted. They want someone who is the opposite of their father, someone who can help them repair their wounds of their past. As older men, we are also more sure about what we want in life.
The men who carry it the most are usually the ones who are least aware that they have it, because they didn't build it on purpose. They built it by living through enough to stop faking. There's a difference between a man who performs confidence and a man who simply has it. And it isn't a difference that you can see in a photograph or read in a bio. You feel it. The room feels it. And most of the time, nobody says a word about it. A man who has been tested by life does not react the same way. His voice doesn't rise when things go wrong. His body doesn't tense when the conversation gets uncomfortable. He doesn't check the room to see who's watching. He has already stopped auditioning for approval. And that creates something people sense before they understand it. A massive study across 140 countries involving more than 17,000 women found that kindness and emotional supportiveness ranked as the single most valued trait in a long-term partner. Higher than physical attractiveness, higher than financial wealth, higher than status. And in a separate survey, 83% of people said that they consider emotional maturity more important than physical appearance when choosing someone to be with. Those numbers are not small. They describe a fundamental reorganization of what draws people towards each other. This is not about older men being better. That framing turns that conversation into a competition, and it misses the real story entirely. What is actually happening is that certain experiences, failures, loss, rebuilding, learning when to speak and when to listen, all of that accumulates into something that cannot be performed. You cannot fake having been through it. You cannot shortcut the process. And the result is a presence that communicates something before a single word is even spoken.
They like them because that man has a sense of maturity about him. He's probably got his own place by now. Probably has a nice place, a nice car, probably paid off, all of that. Has a nice job, a solid lifestyle at this point in his life, because he should be making money, consistently every week. You know what I mean? And then some, have some cushion for dates or whatever. And he's got that going for him. You know what I mean? So as opposed to dudes their age, that are maybe even a little bit older, like maybe like 20, 26, 27, 28. I myself am 32, about to be 33, right? So, like I'm at a stable place in my life. But when I was 25, 26, 27, I can't say that I was. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not where I want to be at, but definitely different than where I was before, right? So, typically life experiences make you more attractive. They make a man more attractive to younger women, and younger women see that. They want to learn from a dude. They want to learn from a man, right? And a lot of them are just kind of wired to just like masculine men that come with maturity, understanding, ability to communicate, and ability to be daddy. Some younger women really want that daddy energy, that older energy, that mature energy.
It is not charm. It's not strategy. It is the absence of desperation. And people feel that absence the same way they feel temperature, automatically, instantly, without choosing to. Now, let me talk about the other side of this because it matters just as much. Women in their 20s and early 30s right now are navigating a dating landscape that is fundamentally different from anything that ever existed before. Pew Research shows that 86% of adults aged 18 to 24 are currently unpartnered. That is not just a number. That is an entire generation learning connection through screens instead of experience. And the women inside that generation are exhausted. They're not physically, but emotionally. They have spent years interacting with people who are performing versions of themselves online. Fast replies that means nothing. Grand gestures that disappear within the next week. Confidence that only exists when the camera is on. Everything moves fast and nothing stays. So when she encounters someone who doesn't operate that way, someone who is not rushing to impress, not scanning for validation, not reacting to every small thing with the intensity of someone who has never been tested, her nervous system registers it before her conscious mind catches up. That is how the human brain processes safety. We are wired to notice when someone feels settled. It's not a thought. It is a physical response. Her shoulders drop. Her voice softens. She doesn't feel evaluated. She feels like she can exist in an interaction without performing. And that experience is becoming rarer than people realize. Because modern dating trained everyone to audition for each other constantly. So the person who shows up without an audition tape stands out. Because everyone else is trying so hard that stillness becomes the most noticeable thing in the room.
Older men activate something that younger men haven't developed yet. Young women bring youth, beauty, curiosity, softness. Older men bring experience, confidence, emotional control, and safety. That pairing has worked for thousands of years because of what? Biology and polarity. A young woman is wired to seek a man who can guide her, protect her, and elevate her. Not control her, but teach her. And this is the part that a lot of people ignore. Older men teach. They teach emotional maturity. They teach communication. They teach discipline and long-term thinking. They can show her calm leadership and what masculine reassurance actually feels like. She grows up faster beside an older man than with somebody who is still becoming himself. And what does he get in return? She brings him back to life. Her softness, her energy wakes up parts of him that he forgot. Her femininity sharpens his masculinity. This isn't a transaction. It is pure polarity and human nature. Younger men are still figuring themselves out, building themselves up emotionally, financially, mentally. They're unsure, inconsistent, and that is normal for their age. But women don't fall for potential. They fall for certainty. Older men know who the hell they are. They know what they want. They know how to show up. They offer so much direction and protection and stability. That's why young women choose older men. They feel safe enough to be feminine, open, and soft again. It is not creepy. It's not new. It's the oldest pairing in human history. And the people who hate it the most are the ones who can't offer what either side actually values.
You probably do not see yourself the way other people experience you. And that's not humility. That is old programming. Somewhere along the way, a message got embedded. Attention has to be earned through effort. Being noticed requires youth or looks or money or some kind of visible display. And that message was so consistent for so long that you stop questioning it. So when it happens, when someone responds to you in a way that feels genuine interest, you explain it away before it even has a chance to register. She was just being polite. She does that with everyone. It did not mean what you think it meant. But consider the possibility that you are wrong. Consider the possibility that the years you spent learning how to handle difficulty, how to stay grounded when everything around you was unstable, how to stop performing for people who are never paying attention anyway. Consider all of that became something real. Something that other people can feel the moment you enter a conversation. And here's the parallel that makes it bigger than any one gender. She is exhausted by performance. He is convinced that he's invisible. Both are wrong. She's noticing more than she says. He's carrying more than he sees. And somewhere in that gap between what she observed and what he believes about himself, something important is being missed every single day. That is a perception problem and is affecting both sides equally. We're living through a period of emotional overstimulation that has no historical comparison. Every notification, every algorithm, every social media feed is designed to keep the nervous system activated, reacting, scrolling, comparing, responding. The average person now processes more information in a single day than people a century ago encountered a year ago. And that is doing something to how we experience each other. It is making calmness feel unfamiliar. Steadiness feels surprising. And presence Real presence where someone is actually in the room with you instead of performing for an audience that's not even there. That feels almost startling now. That is the real story underneath all of this. It is not that older men figured out some secret. It is that living long enough to stop reacting to everything made certain people carry a quality that the modern world made scarce. And scarcity creates attention because the nervous system cannot help it. When everything feels loud, the person who feels stilled becomes impossible to ignore. This is not a gender argument or a debate about who is better or who deserves what. This is about what overstimulation did to all of us and why the people who found their way to emotional steadiness, however they got there, are being experienced differently now. You do not attract people by being louder than everyone else. You attract them by being the person who doesn't need to be. So, where does that leave you? It leaves you with a choice. You can keep dismissing what people see in you because it doesn't match the old story that you've been telling yourself. Or you can start considering the possibility that you already became someone worth noticing, and the only person who hasn't caught up to that is you. You do not need a strategy. You do not need to learn how to perform better. You don't need to compete with anyone younger, louder, or more physical. What you built over the years, the ability to stay grounded when everything moves fast, the ability to make people feel like they do not have to pretend around you. That's not something you can buy or fake or rush. The people who notice are not confused. They are responding to something real. And the only thing standing between you and actually receiving that recognition is the outdated belief that you don't deserve it. Connection doesn't happen because someone performed well enough. It happens because someone was present enough to be felt. People are not looking for perfection right now. They're looking for someone who feels like they've already arrived at who they are. And if that's you, stop apologizing for it. Stop explaining it away. And stop being the last person to see what everyone around you already feels. It's been your girl Rene here. I'll see you guys in my next video.